you can enjoy higher profits, higher revenue without carrying all the burden.
You're listening to the Traffic and Funnels Show.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Traffic and Funnels Show. We are glad that you're here. Chris Evans, Taylor Welch, and our team. What are we talking about today, buddy?
Dude, we're talking about standards. Talking about the secret. I was thinking on the way into the office this morning from the gym, which is my favorite time of day, by the way, because the sun is shining and nobody's texting me or bothering me. And I was like, you know what's crazy is that we have clients who have been with us for 3.5 years, and they've grown on the marketing side. They've grown on the business side. Now they have so much surplus, so much abundance that they're now clients of the real estate side. And it was a really cool thought because not everybody is created equal in the way they think. And you got a guy like Alaric, or you got guys like Steenberg, people who've been around a long time. And then we have clients who were with us for a bit, then left. And you look at their lives today. I don't know if you do this, Chris. Maybe I'm the guilty party here, but I sometimes look them up. People who have left. And it's shocking that most of them are backwards. They've gone backwards. And this isn't a sales tactic. This isn't like, oh, you better stay with us. Now, there are some people who have moved on and they're doing incredible things. But you look at people who were doing significant things 2 years ago, and they are doing less now than they were then. And I was like, what is the secret, dude? You know, there's all these different elements that make up the DNA of a high performer. But I think if there's one ingredient that really will force a person to win, it's probably their standards. What are they willing to tolerate or accept? You were talking about this in Paris.
Yeah.
I thought we should just rap about it a little bit because nobody else is really talking about it.
Yep.
You know, and it's important.
Yeah. Yeah. From my experience, the majority of people in society have very low standards, and that's why they don't accomplish much in their life, in every area of their life, financially, emotionally, spiritually, their relationship. I was having a conversation with some amazing entrepreneurs in Paris, and they were asking me questions about their team and how their team is just dropping the ball. And I'm like, it's because you guys are tolerating those standards of low performance. Like whatever you tolerate, that's what you'll get in every area of your life, whether it's with your team, whether it's, your revenue, your relationship, your love life.
There we go.
Right? Whatever your standard is, whatever you are willing to tolerate, good or bad, that is what you will get. And I think people don't realize that that's a choice, right? Their standard, their toleration is a choice. And this is one of the big things. Brian was like, hey, you guys should talk about Jay. This is one of the big things that Jay Abraham helped us with. He's talked to us a lot about toleration because a few years ago, man, we were struggling. We were having a hard time.
Can I talk about what you just said before you go on to the next thing?
Yeah.
So you're talking to people about their team, and I was doing some writing yesterday morning, and I was like, holy cow, like we've grown so much. And I think there are three, this is off script. This is just a free bonus for everybody. So send me PayPal later. But man, when it comes to building teams, right? And when it comes to working through other people, I think that people have this guilt that they feel for wanting more. They have this sense of guilt that they have for wanting, if you could sum up a person's life into 3 areas, I think it comes down to self, and then leadership, and then toleration. And today we're talking about toleration. We're going to talk about that later. But I made a post yesterday. It's like, first and foremost, you have to decide that you're going to become better. Then you have to become a good leader. That's number 2, because high standards without good leadership becomes dictatorship, right? So you begin trying to enforce a standard on somebody else that you are not actually leading. That you become abusive.
That'll preach.
We were in this
somebody's
zone.
Taking notes.
I wish that I could say we never got stuck here, but we did.
Oh, dude.
We got stuck here where it's like we decided we wanted more and we raised our standards, but we didn't know how to lead other people. And so we were, quite frankly, becoming borderline abusive. We were becoming kind of dictatorial in how
we've had to go back and apologize to some people.
100%. And that required a lot of humility. But then the third thing is, once you become a good leader, you know that you're communicating the right way with people, and you know your standards are good. You have to be willing to let people go. And some of the people in Paris, I think, are tolerating such low behavior and it's actually on the long term is robbing people. But anyways, just an aside. Back to you. What were you talking about?
Oh, we were talking about Jay and just how he's helped us. We thought that we had to tolerate carrying all the burden, and we had to tolerate not loving our clients and what we were doing every day.
Yeah.
I don't know where it came from. I don't know if it's just how we grew up or
UE. That's what it came from.
just throw it out there, man. You know what the situation was, but we were miserable. And somehow we believed that was okay until we had someone like Jay who's been through the fire on many a occasion. He's discovered these things and he was like, guys, you don't have to do this. You don't have to live like this. You don't have to accept this. And it was just like, oh my gosh, is Jay Abraham right? What if he is right? Turned out he was right. And man, it's just, I think it's just set us on a trajectory that's been very empowering and impactful, not only to us, dude, but it's had a massive ripple effect. Now we can encourage our clients, the people that we're connected with and the people listening to this podcast that, what you tolerate is what you are going to get. And I think if we didn't have someone like Jay in our life speaking into us, a man of a lot of wisdom and experience and just going through the trials that he's told us that he's gone through, wow. I mean, what if we had gone another 6 months like that, dude? We might be out of the game. We might not even be here today if we didn't have someone like that speaking into our lives saying, guys, you don't have to do this. Yeah. Right? Or guys, there's a better way. There's a quicker way. There's a faster way. There's a simpler way. Like you can enjoy higher profits, higher revenue without carrying all the burden. Uh-oh.
Let's bring it close to home. Let's bring it close to home because we're talking about standards. And I think it's one of the main ingredients to people grow. I don't know about you, Chris, but I don't want a year or two of growth. I don't want 4 years I want a lifetime of growth. Yeah. I want to be kicking when I'm 70 years old and having a blast.
Kicking and fried chicken.
Meeting new people. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not enough. It's not enough for us to just have a couple good
Continual expansion.
Continual expansion. And I think that I have been in the past, we've had conversations about this, about our own standards. And you've had some really good conversations with me about, I think back to like early 2018 where you're like, man, it shouldn't be this hard. And I'm like, dude, it should be. And we got into arguments about it because I had this philosophy of like, man, it should be difficult. The game of business is the game of grind. Like we should just be, and you're like, no. That means that there's an error in our thinking. And we've had to kind of mesh philosophies, but ultimately that was a standards issue on my part. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We can slice and dice this a million ways, but I think that you don't want to look back at your life and realize that you accepted negative situations. Not everyone can control their circumstances, but everyone can control their direction.
Yeah.
You can't necessarily control the situation, but you can directionally control how you view that situation so that it brings growth.
Yep.
And guys like Alaric and, guys who have been in our circle for a really long time, they hit new records and they say, what's next? They don't hit new records and say, cool, I'm out. I don't have anything else to learn. That's the biggest thing. You want to dive into the two things that we really talked about before the show on how you can control your standards?
Yeah. So the question is, what are your standards? What are you tolerating? And I think one comes down to vision, right? Your vision will expand to the depth, the length, the height of what your vision is. Like whatever you want, you gave this example earlier. Like if your vision is to do $4,000 a month, right? There's not much of a person that you have to become, like go through to do $4,000 a month, right? Versus like Bill Gates, who wants to end polio. He wants to end the energy crisis. Like, obviously, that's a massive difference. And to become that person, you have to figure out massive problems and massive issues. And the person that you have to become on that journey is like the thing that Jim Rohn talks about. We're massive Jim Rohn fans over here at TNF. But it's really who you become in the process of accomplishing your vision. right? It's not necessarily always just about more money, right? Or bigger houses, but it's the person that you become through that process of dealing with those problems, situations. Cause now, we're at a place where we have a big team and dude, we have grown by leaps and bounds because we've had to figure out how to become better people, better leaders, right? Communicate our vision and work through other people. So what else would you say to that?
Well, I would say there are probably people listening to this who are like, man, Chris, who are you to say whether $4,000 a month is a good goal or a bad goal? What if not everybody is after money? Not everybody wants to be a billionaire. Not everybody wants to, maybe we like socialism in America. Maybe we're one of those people. And I would say, how incredibly selfish it would have been for me and you to be like, we're at $100,000 a month. Let's just chill out. Let's just chill. How would you feel about the person who had cured cancer, but just decided to use it for his own family?
Yeah.
That's what's happening. That's what's happening when you say, you know what, like I've done enough. I've got enough for my family. I've got enough for my needs. I know that we'll never go hungry. So I'm just going to coast and I'm going to stop solving problems. You're a bad person. There's something wrong with the way you think. And sometimes I look through ads and people are like, oh, if you're making so much money, why are you still trying to grow? And it's like, those people live in their mom's basement and they play video games. They do not understand the laws of impact, the laws of influence. And I think that there is something wrong if your goal is to make $4,000 a month and that's the extent of your vision. I'm not trying to insult your family. I'm insulting you personally. There's a difference. It's like, who are you going to reach on $50,000 a year? Now, people work in churches and people do. Sometimes people invest in ministry and they invest their time into things. But man, if you have the ability to become a high net worth, high wealth individual, and you can use that wealth, you can go out and build churches. I think there's something wrong if you stay stuck at a level way beneath your potential. And for me and you, Chris, like we had those conversations early on about like, do we want to grow? And ultimately, I think that the biggest issue with us is we didn't want to trade family for business growth. We didn't want to trade the other things that were important to us. But that came down to a lack of education and a lack of knowledge. So then what's the next step? You invest into people who have that education. They have that knowledge. It's why we didn't have a choice to invest in Jay. We did, but we didn't. We were like, we have to figure this out because staying where we are is not an option. Yeah. Sacrificing at home is not an option. Our lack of knowledge came in as the main reason that we decided to make that investment.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. A lot of people have a naive perception that in order to grow, and I think because a lot of people see this, right? You see many, many successful business people that their families are lost. They've divorced, their kids hate them. And so I think maybe the perception is, and people, a lot of our clients ask us these questions like, how are you guys successful in your marriage and you are where you are in your business? And I think we realize that one, we will not accept losing our families for the sake of growth in our business. We will not tolerate that. So there's got to be a way to do it to where we have an extremely healthy marriage, healthy relationship with our kids, healthy family, while growing the business and expanding the business. Like it can't be one or the other. It has to be both, right? And so for us, I think that's one. It's like knowing that that's possible, getting around people who have done that, finding those people, searching those people, or just being the example of that.
Yeah.
Like there's no other way, dude. Like that is how we do it. And I think if you have that perception or that insight, like to do one thing, you have to rob the other thing, then you have to change your perception, what's possible.
Well, dude, what you just said is another example of standards. People accept such low things in their business and their life. And then for somebody to say, you know what, I'm going to go out and build a multi-million-dollar business, but I'm going to sacrifice my family to do it. That's another example of poor standards, faulty standards. Yeah. Your vision includes both success at home and success at work, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing I think that impacts a person's standards. What's your vision? Do you have a big vision? Is your vision only to take care of me and mine, or is it to take care of everybody I come into contact with? These things tend to change the way that you make decisions. We talk with people on the phone all the time. And it's like they're struggling to break past 10 grand a month. We can take them to 30. We can take them to 60. We know how to advertise. We can build the systems. We've already got tried, true, verified, proven models. They can't invest 10K. Like, well, your standards are broken.
Yeah.
Because, you would rather sacrifice time. You would rather steal from the people that need you than sacrifice a little bit of money you can bring back. I think the second thing that impacts a person's standards is their environment. Who they're surrounded by. That saying, you are the average of the 5 people or 4 people or whatever.
True. It's completely true.
It's completely true. And the reason that it's true is because of standards. You are going to be slowly, you will begin to accept the things that the people around you accept. And you will reject the things that the people around you reject. This is why we moved my family to Nashville. When we started the business, we were in Memphis. You were in Charlotte. And Memphis is just, I'd outgrown it. I had outgrown the people in Memphis. I had outgrown the environment in Memphis, and I felt like I had to get out. And we moved to Nashville, and our circle began to expand, and we started connecting with people who were beyond me. And there's a case to be made that wherever you grow up is not necessarily where you need to stay if you want to continue growth. And not everybody's the same, but there are a lot of clients who have been, they grow up in the middle of Ohio and their best friend is a cow. And it's like, you have to leave. Like, because your environment is so low. Like, how much do you need to pay your bills? And they're like $79 a month. It's like, whoa. Like, there needs to be some environmental design going on, because the people that you're around and the experiences that you're around. And one of the things I admire about you, Chris, is that you're such an experienced person. I was 30 years old the first time I went to Europe. Crazy. Like, typical freaking dumb American. Like, I don't need to travel. We have Texas. Like, Chris grew up overseas and you've got all these experiences. And dude, what a great worldview you have. What a perspective you have that in some ways is superior, because you've had the environment of like, man, there's other people in the world. There's other people with, it's a crazy thought to think that it's not all about my town and me and my kids. I think environment is a really big push.
Hey crew, what up? Taylor Welch here. Have you ever wondered how traffic and funnels grew so fast? I mean, 4 years ago, the company was nothing. Nobody knew who we were. We didn't have any revenue, no clients, no products, no content. And we noticed really quickly that we had something special, but it's not just that Chris and Taylor are special. There are processes, recipes, concepts, materials, foundational strategies that have allowed us to go from 0 to 8 figures in about 3.5 years. And one of the things we do that's really cool, and I think it's really fun for a lot of our clients, is we publish our learning lessons every single month. It's about 8 to 10 pages. In fact, the most recent one was a little bit longer. We talk about how to hire, how to find people, how to run advertising, our recent marketing tactics, some of our strategies for sales. We cover every element of how to grow a healthy, predictable, successful, and most importantly, growing client business. And people rave about this. We've got almost 6,000 people subscribe to this every single month. And we'll actually ship it to you, maybe your office, your home, wherever you tell us to ship it to you. And every single month, we include some extra perks to it, sometimes audio content, sometimes some video content. It's one of the best programs that you can be in, I think, in the world if you run a client business. And the best part is it's very, very affordable. We've tried to price this at a level that anybody can be a part of it who needs it and who wants it. So you can check it out at trafficandfunnels.com/IAM. IAM, basically Insiders Access Monthly, IAM, trafficandfunnels.com/IAM. We'll send you out the first package as soon as you hop in. And I'm telling you, this is one of the most fantastic ways that you can learn from the mistakes and the growth curves of other people. Check it out. Let us know what you think. Talk soon.
I think it all comes down to perspective. And if you are around the right people, then you tend to get the right perspective, and it leads to belief. What you believe should be accepted. What you believe should be tolerated, right? What you believe is possible for you and your family. Back in the day when I was only around poor people, I thought that was the only option for me. And then I started seeing people who are like, man, they didn't go to college like me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and they're doing pretty good for their families. Maybe I can do that. Right. And there's like this momentum that's built. And I just started getting around those people more and more to where like I turned belief in what I thought what was possible into action. And then it's just concrete confidence. Like it couldn't be shaken. Right. And now we are where we are today.
Yes. When you say poor people, just because I know Chris's heart, he doesn't mean that derogatorily.
No.
I think culturally that's become kind of like a slap, but
taboo to say.
It's a little bit. But when you say like, you know, I've spent most of my time around poor people, it's like all you mean by that, and all we mean when we talk about this, is that people who have not invested into creating mastery over a resource that's money. Money is really, really important. In the church world, this gets so weird. We both come from the church world, where people think like money is the root of all evil. And it's like, no. You know, ultimately, being in a place of lack is like unkingdom. It's like anti-kingdom. You know, like it's all messed up in the church world. Not to go all the way that road, but if you don't have a level of certainty or a level of mastery around money, you know, picture the person who can't figure out how to eat. It's like they're going to a mental hospital. Like they just can't get themselves to eat. Well, food is a resource. It's the same thing. I think there's a lot to be said around this idea of money, because if the people around you, their goals are $4,000 a month, what chances do you have of doing $400,000 a month? Zero. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think too, man, I was that person, right? Like I was at a deficit pretty much in every area of my life. I was unhealthy in every area of my life. And the difference between me and, you know, someone who is like a widow or an orphan is I have the ability to go use my brain, use my resources, whatever I do have, to better the situation for myself, my family, and those around me. And I think that's really the difference, right? It's not people who are just, they have no option.
Yeah.
Like if you have the ability, especially if you freaking live in the Western culture, America, Europe, whatever.
Dude, if you're listening to this podcast, you have the ability.
Yeah.
You're probably listening with AirPods or a freaking automobile. Like you have the ability to go out and create wealth. We were eating dinner with your good friends in Paris who run the anti-human trafficking agency that you guys support. It's like, how many good things, this is something that people should sit down and think about. Tomorrow morning, wake up and write this question down and answer it. How many good and necessary things are not able to happen because you are robbing them by your inability to produce wealth? You can't give, you can't donate, you can't support, you can't aid, you can't enhance because you don't have any money for your own households.
Yep.
That's why we have that podcast about like the moral obligation to being rich. You know, our lifestyles, we have huge goals for 2020. Not a lot of it comes down to improving our lifestyles.
Right.
You know, most of it, I would say a good 75% of it, it's about what are we going to be able to do for other people because of this.
Yep.
So there's a lot to be said here and unpack here. People, if your goal is to make $100,000 a year, you need to get out of your own bubble. You need to go visit with some families who are truly underneath the poverty line. You need to go visit some places where there are orphans and there are people who are really in need. And you need to ask yourself, how much value are you bringing the world with your $100,000? Probably nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, we wrote about it in the newsletter, Insider's Access, a few months ago. And I think that people live in three modes. So the majority of especially Western civilization, they tolerate, right? The first one is survival. Like they're just surviving day to day, spiritually, emotionally, physically, their health, their finances. The second one is thriving, like they're doing pretty good. And the third one, where I think we are really coming into, is impact. It's like you are abundant, you're overflowing in every area of your life that you can just give and give and give and give and have tremendous impact on other people in every area. And dude, I don't know about you, but next year I have huge giving goals, like more to the friends that you're mentioning and things that we're involved in, because we have so much abundance, right? Like we've put ourselves out there. We've risked finances. We've risked ourselves in front of the masses on Facebook and YouTube and all this kind of stuff. And now not only can our families enjoy the reward, and, I have a lake house and then a boat, and that's fun. And it's amazing. We have great times.
You have a kingdom you're building in Charlotte.
But no, dude, I have that abundance. Now we can invest into these other really important, I'd say more important things. And so what are you accepting? What are you tolerating? If you're listening to this podcast, are you just surviving day to day in every area of your life? Are you thriving?
Oh, by the way, you gave before you had a lot of money, didn't you?
Yeah.
I was reading about John Rockefeller. I think we can end on this point unless you have other things to say, but
nope.
John Rockefeller, say what you will about him. He did some nasty things and some good things, but he tithed and he gave a percentage of money when he made like $3 a week. And he tithed and gave a percentage of money away when he was a multi-billionaire. I think it would be a mistake for people to hear this and be like, you know what? That's right. When I make a lot of money, I'm going to start becoming generous. When I make a lot of money, I'm going to start helping those in need. No. It starts actually now, because you create, and whether you believe in God or the universe or whatever, this can be a biblical principle or it can be an energy principle, because I've studied both. When you give money away to somebody who is less fortunate than you, even if you feel like you are the less fortunate, doesn't matter. When you give money or resources or something away, you teach your central nervous system that you can be trusted with surplus. This also goes down into a biblical principle. He who can be trusted with a little can be trusted with a lot.
A lot.
It's
Will
also
you teeing that up for me.
Layup if there ever was one. This is actually validated and verified scientifically through the way that our central nervous system kind of treats belief, and imposter syndrome really comes from a lack of generosity. It comes from a lack of impact. I just want to make sure we set the record straight of like, we gave before we had a lot. And I think that that's a big reason why we have a lot now. It's not just that we're good with marketing and advertising, although we are. Part of it is that we have trained ourselves that we can be good stewards of a lot of money because we were good stewards with a little bit of money.
I think that's one thing too. That's a really important principle. Is so many people, they just want to take and take, right? And it doesn't just always have to be your finances. You should seek to give value in any way you can. And a lot of times that's just connection, man. We as humans, especially in today's world, are so isolated. We're more connected than ever, but we're more isolated than ever, right? So there's a friend who his mom just passed away last week of cancer. And just this last week, man, I've just been connecting with him almost every other day. Just, dude, how you doing? What's going on? Just staying connected and giving him value, just letting him know that, there's someone here that's thinking about him. So I think that's really important. Don't go out there and like, hey, can I buy you lunch and just, take from you? But what can I give you? How can I help you where you are with whatever I have?
That's one of the secrets of like the 21st century. I've seen people online be like really cynical and pessimistic about like, oh, you're going to pay for friends. Yeah, bro, I am. Like, you couldn't pay Cornelius Vanderbilt to be his friends back in the day. There was no like, hey, I'm going to go to an event and John Rockefeller's there. That didn't exist. The divide was so significant you couldn't get access to those people. I think it's one of the greatest secrets of today's environment and economy is that I can pay money and I can become friends with Jay Abraham.
Just like that, dude. Just like that.
Like clockwork. And people hate on this. And most of the time, those people are significantly underneath their potential because they're looking at the negative of everything rather than the positive. So, dude, me and you got into Mastermind, 3 months into Traffic and Funnels?
Well, let me just hit that real quick. People don't understand value, right? They think that everything is just like Walmart prices just keep dropping. For us, It was 6-figure investment. And I think we got a bargain on Jay. Because not only did we just get access to Jay, but we got access to years and years and years and years, decades of experience, not only successes, but also failures. Dude, we got a freaking bargain.
Yeah. And now we're becoming, we're partnering on a business next year with them. And, I think sometimes people are like, well, I don't want to invest in that because I want to be his peer. But the reality of the situation is that I'll take whatever road it is available. And I'm not going to put my ego into it. I don't want to invest in Taylor and Chris because I feel like they don't do that much more money than me. So okay, ego, you're an egomaniac. Like, how well is that going to serve you long term? It's not going to serve you long term at all. Just a little my 2 cents. Here's another question. We know we're headed into a recession. What did Jay say about hedging? What did Jay say about how to hedge and thrive during that time?
You want to answer that?
Yeah. Jay actually said that every single time there's had a correction, his business has like exploded. So he gave us a couple really good pieces of wisdom. If you want to get access to some of those, trafficandfunnels.com/braintrust. We're doing 3 events with him next year. You can make an investment into getting the relationships. And by the way, what we've put together is you're not investing into a relationship with just me or just Jay or just Chris, but me, Jay, Chris, Joe from Agora, David Deutsch. We're talking about some big names that we've put together. And I think it's going to be industry shaking because of the price tag on this. It's not very high. So
It's insane,
go check out that link. It's going to be real, real, real good. I don't see any other questions here. So cool. I think we are good. Any last words of wisdom?
Re-listen to this podcast at least 2 times. And if you are interested in connecting, having, just adjusting and changing your environment, then go check out the Brain Trust link. You do have to apply for it. trafficandfunnels.com/braintrust. It's going to be incredible.
All right. Adios, everybody. Peace.
Thanks for listening. For more from Chris and Taylor, visit trafficandfunnels.com and get a free gift just for being a subscriber. That's trafficandfunnels.com.